I am Anurag Shrivastava and I would like to welcome you all in today's knowledge sharing session. As you know that AIAG VDA has jointly released new FMEA earlier this year with significant changes in the way how FMEA is carried out. Today in this module, I will take you through the new 7-step approach in the AIAG VDA FMEA and explain you how the format has to be filled in to capture the details. I strongly suggest that you also go through my earlier module of AIAG VDA FMEA to get more understanding on the key changes done and on the 7-step approach. So without any further delay, let's start. As per AIAG VDA FMEA handbook, the FMEA has to be carried out in 7 steps. The first step is planning and preparation. The purpose of this step is to define the scope and do the project planning. The second step is structure analysis. In this step, you visualize the process through process flow diagram and break down the manufacturing system into 3 elements: process item, process step, and process work element. The third step is function analysis. The purpose of this step is to visualize the function of the process and to ensure that the intended functions are correctly allocated. The fourth step is failure analysis. The purpose of this step is to identify the failure cause, failure mode, failure effect, and show their relationship to enable risk assessment. The fifth step is risk analysis. The purpose of this step is to estimate the risk by evaluating severity, occurrence, and detection in order to prioritize the actions that needs to be taken and assign prevention and detection controls. The sixth step is process optimization. The purpose of this step is to determine the actions to mitigate the risk and assess the effectiveness of those actions. The seventh step is result documentation. The purpose of this step is to summarize and communicate the results of FMEA in a report form within a company or between companies. It can also be used to submit the report to the management. Now then, as part of AIAG VDA FMEA format, you need to first fill in these details which comes under step 1, scope definition. And what are the details? First is you need to fill in the details for the company name, the manufacturing location of the company, the customer name for which the FMEA is being done, model year or platform details. In subject section, you have to fill in the project details. PFMEA start date, when the PFMEA has started. PFMEA revision date, what is the latest date of the revision. In CFT, you have to put in the details of the cross-functional team involved in this FMEA preparation. PFMEA ID number, that is allocated by the company. Process responsibility, you have to put the name of the owner of this PFMEA. In confidential level, there are 3 things which you can mention. First is whether this FMEA is for business use or for proprietary use or it is confidential. So these are the details which you need to mention in header. Step 2 is the structure analysis. In this, we classify the process into 3 elements. First is the process item, second is the process step, and third is the process work element. Here what I mean by process item is something which is the end result of all the successfully completed process steps. For example, it can be the final assembly of a part. Okay, and process step is something which is the element under focus, the manufacturing operation. For example, the screwing operation for assembling part A and part B. So here you need to mention the station number, workstation number, and name of the focus element. The third is the process work element. This means the potential causes that could impact the process step. In this, we follow the 4M methodology to define the process work element. In step 3, function analysis. In this, similarly, the way we have defined the process elements in step 2, we now define the corresponding functions of these three elements: process item, process step, and process work element in the function analysis. Particularly for the function of the process item, we have to subclassify into three categories: in plant, ship to plant, and end user. So we have to identify the function of the process item in all these three categories. For the other two categories, we have to keep in mind the clear definition of the product characteristic and the process characteristics related to it. Product characteristic is something which is related to the performance of a process function. It can be measured after the product has been made, while process characteristic is the process controls that ensure the product characteristic is achieved by the process. It can be measured when the product is being made. So this process characteristic answers how the product characteristic is being made, and how the function of the process item is related to the process step is answered through what does it do. The fourth step is the failure analysis. In this, you have to identify the failure effects, the severity of the failure effect, the failure mode of the process step, and the failure cause of the work element. Similarly, in this first failure effects, you have to classify in three categories: failure effect with respect to in plant, ship to plant, or for the end user. Failure effects are always described in terms of what customer might notice or experience. And then you identify the severity. Here we have a new ranking table for severity, which you need to refer while allocating the severity score. Failure mode is defined as the way in which a process could fail to meet the intended function. Failure mode is described in technical terms and not as symptoms what customer is noticing. And failure cause explains you that why the failure mode could occur. So this is how you have to complete this step of failure analysis. Similarly, the failure cause over here explain that why the failure mode has occurred, and failure effects answers what happens when the failure mode has occurred. In step 5, risk analysis, you need to record what are the current prevention controls of the failure cause, and according to it you need to allocate the occurrence score as per the new ranking table of the handbook. Then you need to record what are the current detection controls of the failure cause or failure mode, and allocate the detection score of the failure cause or failure mode as per the new ranking table in the handbook. Now other key change is that from RPN we have now moved on to action priority number. So the resultant of the severity, occurrence and detection will give you a new score, which is action priority score, which you can get through the new table defined in the handbook. You have to allocate the score over here, and then you have to identify whether it is a special characteristic, and filter core you have to mention, which is an optional thing. After the risk analysis step is completed, you now know what are the action priority numbers, which will help you to prioritize the areas where the action has to be taken. So in this step 6 of process optimization, you have to define what are the prevention action and the detection action to address the concern which you are facing, which can be in terms of process modification to eliminate or mitigate the failure effect, or to reduce the occurrence of failure cause, or to increase the detection. After putting these actions, you have to allocate who is the responsible person, what will be the target completion date, what is the status. Status can be open, decision pending, implementation pending, completed, or not implemented. Generally not implemented we put when due to current limitations we cannot implement that particular action. Then you have to put actions taken, completion date, and the revised severity, occurrence and detection, and the revised action priority numbers, followed by remarks. The last step is step 7, results documentation. This step is not separately identified in the AIAG VDA form, but what the handbook says is that you need to prepare a report which can be used as a tool for communication within a company or between companies or even to the management, to document that what all are the learnings of this FMEA. So friends, we have seen all the 7 steps of the PFMEA. Overall, the complete document looks like this. As you can see, in the top section you have the header for scope definition. Second is the structure analysis, third function analysis, then failure analysis, risk analysis, and the optimization step. So this is how all the details has to be captured in the form. With this, I have come to the end of this training module. Hope this helps you in your understanding of AIAG VDA FMEA. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it in your network to help spread the knowledge. In my next module, I will share with you some real-life examples on application and usage of PFMEA form. Till then, keep learning, keep sharing. See ya.